The puppet show pulls us back to a time when we were simpler creatures, which in some respect could be what we all truly yearn for.
The puppet is a little bit of soul saying, I defy the laws of physics. I have a soul whether you say it or not. Which is, I think, a beautiful thing.
They're really poised for making stories, and the tones of stories and the subtleties of stories that we hope to present.
They are theater creatures themselves. The gods run right through them and right out through their puppets. They're magic.
You know what's interesting about puppetry is that you can't even step forward without an implication of design.
One of the first things you do with a puppet is have it begin to breathe. If it can do almost nothing and look alive, you're going to have a lot of success. We tend to personify things, and we tend to imagine something looking at us, or pick up a stone that has a face on it. One of the first things you look for is an eye. You're observing a thing, but the thing is also observing you.
See how it changes expression as it looks up or down, as the shadow moves across its face. Certain kind of materials are more conducive to becoming something that you didn't intend, which can be where actual beauty might happen by accident. Often does happen by accident, generally does.
It's such a perfect fusion of art and craft. The conflagration of their love for each other and their joy at making work together and how funny they find each other. They're a true collective.
The medium is, in some ways, secondary to the cohesion of the group, this ancient friendship.
You're relying on each other in ways that go beyond the art making. When we band together, we shield ourselves against that fallibility of human nature.
We like to devise theater together because we are better as a sum of our parts. Poor Edward.
Serves it right. So in some respect, it is a tree that nobody could have imagined single-handedly. The aesthetic is driven by a multi-armed creature to a singular point.
Maybe a director might call it an ideograph, or the central idea for the whole show. And the text spins out of that, and the music spins out of that, and the design spins out of that. There's a homespun craft to it that makes everything accessible, tragic, and beautiful.
There's a loud roaring sound. A monster eats the skin.
Life, when you zoom out from it, is quite absurd. And I think we like to hold a bit of a microscope to that. You have to sort of laugh at things falling apart a little bit, especially when they're falling apart because of your own design.
Uncrack your cheeks! Is this my good side?
We were sort of philosophically communist at the beginning, and so we liked this idea of theater making in a kind of a commune scenario where a bunch of lunatics would go off into the woods and use that collective insanity to get to fringe areas of human consciousness and come up with a show that wouldn't be what everybody would expect it to be.
Welcome to the ranch where it all began. We're here in the golden hour of light as the sun comes up over the foothills.
It's how we were connecting to the land that kind of brought the cohesion of the group in. The energy there was so intense, and that was highly sacred ground for the Stony Nakota that we became privy to just by opening ourselves up to art and friendship. To be here, to make art here, is to be in treaty. And I know that the Old Trout Puppet Workshop thrives through gratitude to that energy.
This is why we're called the Old Trout Puppet Workshop, because of the famous old trout that lives at the bottom of this spring that knows the answers to all questions. If you can find it, you can swim down deep enough and approach it in its hole, it will answer any question you've got.
But only in trout, so it's very hard to understand.
Very hard to understand.